Atayattotra vetraikapanaye Jnānamudraya Krishnaya Gītāmritaduhe Namaha. Pranams everyone. We are in chapter 4, Sloka number 39. I'm looking to see if we can complete this chapter today and then have the summary next class. Shri Bhagavān Uvacha Shraddhavan labate jnanam tatparas samyatendriyah jnanam labdva param shantim achirenadi gacchati. Shraddhavan labate jnanam tatparas samyatendriyah jnanam labdva param shantim achirenadi gacchati. So Bhagavān in this section first said that Jnanam is superior to all other yajnas, and every sadhana culminates in knowledge. And then he gave in Sloka number 34, he said how to attain this Jnana, what are the qualifications of a guru and a shishya. Then between 35, 36 and 37, Bhagavān gave the benefits of Jnana, which is mohanashana, papanasham and karmanasha. Then in the last class we saw Sloka number 38 where he gave the glory of Jnana. He said there is no better purifier, no other purifier than Jnana. Jnanam pavitram. And through this knowledge one attains Atmani easily in the time. One attains that knowledge through yogam. One attains this knowledge in no time. So he said that in the last sloka. Now in this sloka, Bhagavān is giving 3 Antaranga Sādhanas. So we can split all our sadhanas into 2 types. One is the Bahiranga sadhana, the other one is the Antaranga sadhana. The Antaranga Sādhanas, we will see them in detail in chapter 6. Here Bhagavān is mentioning a few Antaranga Sādhanas. These are kind of must-have conditions before we get this Jnana. So these are must-have qualifications, we can say, that one must have for a person to get this Jnana. So if it's like in a temple, if you go to a temple, you have this Garbhagraha. Now this Garbhagraha, there is only one entrance to the Garbhagraha. And within that entrance, or just on that entrance, there may be a few steps for us to actually climb up to the Garbhagraha. So if this Garbhagraha can be considered as Jnana, then those steps can be compared to the Antaranga Sādhanas. As far as Bahiranga Sādhanas are concerned, people can come from any place, any point, any direction. So Bahiranga Sādhanas can be many. People can have choice. Just like when they come to the temple, some people can come by walk, some people can come by car, some people can alone, some people come together, some people come from near, some people come from far. It can be anything. It depends on where these people are and their own individual preferences. So different people can have or take up different sadhanas depending on their spiritual maturity, depending on their preferences. That is with regards to the Bahiranga Sādhanas. So, but when it comes to the Antaranga Sādhanas, we have no choice. Every one of us must have these qualifications or must follow these sadhanas. They are compulsory sadhanas. If one wants Jnana, one must have these qualifications. How do you know which are Bahiranga Sādhanas and which are Antaranga Sādhanas? And Antaranga Sādhanas are something that are mental, at a mental level mostly. That's why even when Shankaracharya says, even this Guru Vandana, the Namaskara that we do to a Guru, the Guru Seva also are all Bahiranga Sadhanas, and therefore there is no compulsion that it needs to be done. The reason being, even when performing a namaskara, when someone does a namaskara, it may not come out of bhakti. The inner feeling or the intent that the person may have could be very different from the outer image that they give. Sometimes we also see that when we take when some devotees take their son or daughter to some guru or mahan, and they ask their son or daughter to actually do a namaskar. The son or daughter, they do that namaskar, but they don't do it willingly. Namaskara is done. It's a Bahiranga Sādhana, but then therefore it's not an Antaranga Sādhana. Shankaracharya says even Guru Seva, it can be done with a kapata in mind. So therefore it is a Bahiranga Sādhana. And it also depends on opportunities that people get. So here in this sloka, Bhagavān talks about 3 Antaranga Sādhanas, 3 sadhanas or 3 qualifications that one must have before getting this Jnana or for attaining this Jnana. The 3 are Shraddha. First one is Shraddha. The second one is Tatparata. The third one is Indriya Niyama. See, we know that moksha is something that has to be got by Jnana, or through Jnana only one gets moksha. And this Jnana is through the pramana, Shastra pramana. So, and the Guru's words are important for us. Only through Guru's words and only through Shastra we get this knowledge. And this Guru's Upadesha is in the form of Shabda Pramana, Guru's words. And that gives us Jnana. So basically the listening that we undertake, or the listening to Guru's Upadesha, we call that as Shravanam. So listening is Shravanam, and then once we listen, we will have some doubts. So clarifying the doubts is Mananam. And then once we have this doubtless knowledge, we have to ensure that this is completely assimilated into our personality. And so this assimilation is called as Nididhyasanam. So all 3 put together, Shravanam, Mananam, Nididhyasanam, is called as Jnana Yoga. So when we talk about Antaranga Sādhanas, what are these Antaranga Sādhanas? These Antaranga Sādhanas are sadhanas that must go together with this Jnana Yoga. So as we do this Jnana Yoga, these Antaranga Sādhanas must also be done in parallel. It has to be done together. The other Bahiranga Sādhanas, the other sadhanas are not compulsory. For example, there is no condition that a person will get Jnana by performing Dhanam. Suppose we say Yajna, Dana, Tapas. These are 3 important sadhanas we say. Now, there is no way mentioned in the scripture, or no guru will mention that you will get Jnana by doing Dhanam. Why so? Because suppose if that person is poor, he cannot do Dhanam. So therefore this cannot be a necessary condition for Jnana. And we have seen so many sadhanas. In this chapter itself, we saw the 12 sadhanas, where pranayama sadhana we saw the sadhana around food control, food discipline. None of them are compulsory to go along with Jnana Yoga. Not that they are not important, they are important, but people can choose different sadhanas depending on their preferences, depending on their need, depending on where they are lacking. Suppose if a person is actually very selfish, then he feels that he is selfish, he wants to hoard, then the sadhana that he must get involved in is Dhanam. That is the way to break out of that particular problem or issue. That is how one can purify oneself. So purification methods are many. Depending on everybody's preference or need, they can pick up their sadhanas. But once we come to Jnana Yoga, Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana, these three sadhanas are must have, compulsory sadhanas. These values are must. What are they? We'll see one of them one by one. The first one, Bhagavān says, Shraddha. Shraddhavan labate jnanam. Bhagavān clearly mentions one who has faith or Shraddha attains knowledge, labate jnanam. In other words, Bhagavān says directly linking the Shraddha to Jnana. Remember, Jnana is got by Shravanam, listening. But while listening, only if we have this Shraddha to go along with it, this teaching, these words will become knowledge. Someone says something, whether that will turn into Jnana or not, it depends on whether we have Shraddha on the person, whether we have Shraddha on the words that are spoken. That is what will convert or not convert those words into knowledge. Whether the words spoken turn into knowledge or not does not depend on whether the words were truth or not. It could be true. The statements, there could be truth in what that was said, but it may not make any sense to the person if the person does not have any Shraddha. So it depends on whether I have Shraddha or not. Therefore, Shraddha is a very important character or value or an attitude that a spiritual seeker must have. It's a compulsory sadhana, and especially for Vedanta Shravanam. Shraddha or trust, you can say here, trust, belief, is needed even in day-to-day life. But here in Vedantic teaching, it is even more important, especially in Shravanam. Why is this Shraddha needed for Vedanta Shravanam? We can say, we'll do a small vichara. Suppose if I am saying that I am talking through a laptop, I am talking through a computer, then for you to actually take those words as true or knowledge, for you don't need any Shraddha here. Why? Because it is evident for you. You hear the words and you can validate through your eyes also. As in, I am talking through a computer or a laptop. So in other words, if I get some knowledge on something, and if I am able to validate that through another pramana, through my eyes, through my ears, through my nose, through my tongue, through my skin, if I am able to validate that, then there is no need for any Shraddha. Because I am very clear, I have validated it. But wherever there is no other pramana to validate that knowledge received, then there is a need for Shraddha. What happens in Vedanta? What happens in this Atma Jnana? The Shastras, the Guru say that you are Brahman. Now for me to validate those words, I do not have any other pramana. I cannot say I can see that I am Brahman, or I can hear I am Brahman, I can touch I am Brahman. No. So other than Upanishads, nobody else has spoken this truth. Not only that, the words are against my experience also. Because Shastra says, you are Purnaha. Purnaha, Purnamidam, Purnat, Purnamudachyate. You are the whole. You are fully contented. You are Ananda Swarupa. But what do we see in our experience? In our experience, we are limited. We are unhappy. We are sad. We feel small. We do not have any contentment. And therefore, until this Upadesha turns into Jnana, until these words become knowledge, until these words become really my knowledge, Shraddha is a must. And that is why Shraddha is much needed for Vedanta Shravanam. Because if there is no Shraddha, no Upadesha will turn into knowledge. It will be just an information. It will be like a third party knowledge. Okay, I have read this. When I read this again, yeah, I have studied this. It will not turn into the knowledge that I can use in my daily life. So until that Upadesha turns into knowledge, one must have Shraddha. Now when you talk about Shraddha, Shraddha can be divided into three. One is believing something without applying my mind or intellect. So whatever the Shastra says, whatever the Guru says, I take it just like that. Without applying my mind, without applying my intellect, without doing any vichara, then that is called as Kushraddha. Shastras is against that. It is nothing but foolish belief. It's blind faith, as they say. One should not have blind faith. That's one type of Shraddha. In this case, what happens is the person does not want to use his intellect. And therefore, what happens is intellect will not develop, and Shastras are against it. Shastras do not want us to do that. Then the second is, Guru says something, now it is against my experience, and therefore I will not accept it. And that is called as Ashraddha. For this person too, the intellect will not develop. Because he already knows that this is actually false. This is not to be considered. And what Guru says is wrong. And therefore, he also does not apply his intellect. So both are extremes. One must neither have Kushraddha nor Ashraddha. The third one is Shraddha. Now, when it comes to the word Shraddha, it is like Bhakti, Yoga, Karma. Many people have a wrong understanding of this word. Sometimes people take Shraddha to be this Kushraddha. They think Shraddha means believing blindly whatever is said, or not giving any work to the intellect is Shraddha. That is wrong. When Guru says something, and if it is against my experience, then instead of doubting what the Guru says, instead of doing the Ashraddha, what this person has to do? This person has to doubt his understanding. And he must believe that I have the intellect, or I should get my intellect to understand this properly. So that belief is called as Shraddha. So neither do I take the words of Guru completely as it is, nor do I reject it. So here the Shishya says, what the Guru says is truth. There is truth in it. There is truth. It is the truth. But there is a contradiction to my experience. What I will do? I will resolve it. And until I am able to resolve it, I will not reject the teachings. And that bhavana is called as Shraddha. So until the words become my knowledge, I will believe and I will not reject the good teachings. That is called as Shraddha. Not that I will take it as knowledge. I will strive to make it my knowledge. So, for an Upadesha that could not be understood, so I am defining Shraddha now. So there is an Upadesha that could not be understood. For us to hold on to that Upadesha until the time it turns into our knowledge, the attitude that one must have on that Upadesha is called Shraddha. And it is only possible only if we have Shraddha, it is possible for us to convert that Upadesha into our knowledge. So Shraddha is needed. Shraddha is the one that will make the Sishya strive to get intellect to understand what has been conveyed in this Upadesha also. Only if we have Shraddha, we will use our intellect, try to understand and convert that teaching into our knowledge. If we don't have Shraddha, we'll all become easy atheists. We can always discredit whatever the Vedas say, reject the Vedas. It's not working. I can't see it, and therefore it cannot be true. And we reject the Vedas, and it is because it is not comprehensible. It's not understandable. So I'm not going to waste my time to apply my intellect, and therefore it is easy for me to discredit the Vedas, discredit the Guru. And therefore, if you do that, you don't get the knowledge. And that's why Bhagavan says, Shraddhavan labhate jnanam. Only one who has Shraddha attains knowledge. Not only that, second one is tatparata. Tatparata means complete mumukshutvam, total commitment. One who is devoting to moksha completely. That person is called as tatparata. Swami Chinmayananda used to say, Vedanta is not a part-time vocation. He will say, it's not a part-time vocation. Vedanta is a full-time preoccupation. And what is the tatparata mean? So if there is an example, people will say, how can I be totally committed to moksha when I have so many things in this world to do? I have got so many responsibilities. How can I actually focus on moksha? So Ramakrishna Paramahamsa used to give an example. He will say how a village lady, in those days, she will be having a baby on her lap, and then at the same time she will be grinding the grains on a pestle. And she will also be talking to the lady next to her. While doing all these things, she is also making sure her fingers or her hands do not come under the pestle. And at the same time making sure that it grinds properly. The grains are ground properly. So that kind of clear focus on making sure that the work is done, even when I am managing the baby, even while talking to the others, not losing the focus on what needs to be done. That is called as tatparata. In the same way, not losing the focus that the final goal or the ultimate goal of life, the purpose of this life is to attain moksha. So when we say preoccupation, it does not mean that one must become sannyasi and one must take up and then do only Shravana Manana Nididhyasana, not get involved in any of the activities. What it means is, in whatever place, whatever role we play, do that as duty. Doing that as duty, as a sadhana, that is called as tatparaha. Tatparaha means one who is committed to Vedanta. And there has to be some lifestyle changes for this, definitely. Just like in any other field. For example, if there is a sports person or a singer, what they do if they are a sports person and they want to sort of compete in the highest levels, what they do, they make sure that the entire lifestyle is such that it is supporting their professional journey. Even for a singer. So, sports person or singer, they will not eat certain types of food. They will not drink certain drinks. They will wake up early. They will do physical trainings, or in the case of singer, they will do vocal trainings. They have certain heroes that they worship. They model their behavior to them. They have a routine. Now everything will be in consideration and everything will be kind of modeled to be in line with what they want to achieve. So in the same manner, for us, whatever daily activities we do, we have to ensure that it is in line with this goal of moksha. Or we have to make sure that we change our routine so that it is in line with this goal. That is called as tatparaha. So the Shankaracharya says, some may have this shraddha. They have shraddha, so they want to use their intellect. They have clear that the Guru's words are true, and only my knowledge is, I have got this ignorance, and therefore I will have to apply my mind and intellect to get this knowledge. But what happens if they don't have tatparaha? If they try half-heartedly, they will not achieve this goal. And hence, there is a need for total commitment. That is called as tatparaha. Then the third thing that Bhagavān says, the third Antaranga Sādhana says, samyatyendriya. Samyatyendriya means indriya nigraha. So without sense control, without mind control, total commitment is also not possible. And therefore, sensory control is compulsory, is mandatory. And sense control is needed, mind control is needed for both Jnāna sampadhanārtam as well as Jnāna rakshanārtam. So, sense control is needed for both gaining knowledge as well as to retain knowledge. Sense control we had seen in second chapter, we had seen in third chapter, now we are seeing again in the fourth chapter. Sense and mind control, they are important sadhanas. It cannot be let go even after gaining knowledge. Because say we have gained the knowledge. If we don't have sense control, this knowledge will also leave us. Without indriya nigraha, tatparaha is not possible. Because at every stage, the world will try to attract us. Paramathananda used to say, the world will attract us through its novelty, through its variety, in the form of different people, different objects, different forms of entertainment, different situations. But it all lacks stability. So the three Antaranga Sādhanas, Shraddha, Tatparaha, Indriya Nigraha. These three are needed along with Shravana, Manana and Nidhyasana. Remember, these Antaranga Sādhanas by itself will not give us Jnana. That also we'll have to be very clear. Just by having Shraddha, Tatparaha and Samyatyendriyaha, one will not get Jnana. I am saying I am having Shraddha, I will put my entire effort, I will not get distracted, it's all fine. But unless we come and understand what is said in the Shastras, we will not get this Jnana. So Jnana Yoga Sadhana, along with these three Antaranga Sadhanas, are compulsory for a person to get moksha. So Shraddhavan labate jnanam tatparaha samyatyendriyaha. Now in the second line Bhagavan says, Jnanam labdhva param shantim achirenadi gacchati. Labdhva jnanam. Labdhva jnanam means having attained jnanam. Param shantim. Adhigacchati. Adhigacchati. Adhigacchati means he will attain. After having attained knowledge, Adhigacchati, he will attain param shantim, supreme peace. So supreme peace, how when will he get supreme peace? Bhagavan says achirena, instant, soon. So what does this mean? Attaining Jnana and attaining Shanti are one and the same. The moment we get this Jnana, immediately we will have total contentment in this world. We will not have any feeling of any craving for doing anything or not having done something. There will be nothing. There will be total contentment. The problem for us is samsara is not holding us. We are holding to samsara. We are not willing to let go of it. And when will we be free from samsara? Only jnanam labdva. Having attained jnanam, or the moment I attain jnanam, samsara is gone. When? Achirena, immediately, without a gap, one attains contentment. That is the essence of this sloka. The essence of this sloka is one who has shraddha, who is devoted, as in completely committed, one whose organs, sense organs are restrained, attains knowledge. Labate jnanam. Then, jnanam labdva, having attained this knowledge, he will soon attain immediate peace or supreme peace. So here Bhagavān had talked of Jnana the first in this section, then gave many sadhanas as Jnana, as yajnas. 12 sadhanas were given as yajnas. We saw Daivameva, Parejña, Yajna, Pranayama Yajna. We saw all those things. Now all these sadhanas, as I said, are all Bahiranga Sādhanas. The direct sadhana for moksha is to take Shastra as pramana, do Shravana Manana Nididhyasana. Now along with this Shravana Manana Nididhyasana, one must have Shraddha, one must have total commitment, one must have sensory discipline. Now that's the understanding that we should have. Now in the coming slokas, what Bhagavān is going to do, Bhagavān is going to give what are the doshas from which we need to free ourselves. So we'll go to the next sloka. Ajñaścāśradanasca samśayātmā vinashyati nāyam lokosti na paraha na sukam samśayātmanah. Ajñaścāśradanasca samśayātmā vinashyati nāyam lokosti na paraha na sukam samśayātmanah. So we saw the qualities that one must possess for getting this knowledge. Shraddha, tatparaha, samyatyendriya. Now here Bhagavan says there are 3 kinds of doshas that one must not possess. These 3 are a no. If you have any of this, you will not get it. What are they? Ajñaha, ashraddadhanaha, then samshayatma. Ajñaha means ignorant. Bhagavan says there should be no ignorance. Then ashraddadhanaha means one who has no shraddha. Then third one, samshayatma, who has a doubting mind. Ajñascha ashraddadhanascha samshayatma. What will happen to them if a person has these 3 qualities? Which is, who are they? Who is this person? This person who is ignorant, who has no shraddha, and who has a doubting mind. What will happen to them? Vinashyati. Ajñascha ashraddhanascha samshayatma vinashyati. He perishes. They will not be able to attain the purushartha. They will not attain moksha. Bhagavan calls all these 3 as doshas. See, our journey is like that. We start with ignorance. We are all born ignorant. Anybody who is born in this world is born ignorant. Then what happens? There is a step by step. In life, in everything that we take up, even in our education, in our schools. When we first went into the second standard, whatever was taught, we were ignorant about it. Then we studied. We have some doubts. Then there is a possibility, sambhava, we say sambhavana. There is a possibility that this could be okay, correct. It's the same for everything and for Vedanta also. For example, when we had initially come to this class, initially come to Vedanta, we wouldn't have even heard about Atma, what is Atma and all those things. That I am Atma, what is this Stula Sharira, Sukshma Sharira, Karana Sharira, nothing. We would have had ignorance about Atma and all those things. Now once we listen to the Shastras about Atma, we'll start doubting. Can I be the Atma? Can Atma be eternal? But then we die. What happens to that afterwards? The body dies. What about Atma? Where could it be? So then we could get to a stage where we think, well, look, I think Atmas could be eternal. There is a possibility. That is called as sambhavana. Then we realize, then we understand that Atma is eternal. When we realize it, that is called as Jnana. Then when we are having doubtless knowledge and it is clear for us that Atma is eternal only, then it is called as Jnana Nishta. So 5 steps. Ajnana. From Ajnana we go to Samshaya. Ajnana means ignorance. From there Samshaya means doubt. From Ajnana never will we go directly to knowledge. There will be always a Samshaya. Sometimes it so happens it's so quick that we don't realize, but there is an in-between step. Then the third one is Sambhavana. Doubtful knowledge. Possible. We say it's possible. But for us to get to this stage, we need Shraddha. Then Jnana, knowledge. Then Jnana Nishta, meaning knowledge is established. So here Bhagavan says one should not remain in ignorance. Every one of us are born with ignorance, but we should not remain in ignorance. Bhagavan says one must not remain in ignorance. And he also says one must not have ashraddha. Remember, because without shraddha, shraddhavan labate jnanam. Only through shraddha one gets jnana or knowledge. And third thing Bhagavan says here is one must not have a doubting mind. If a person has, by nature, some people have a doubting mind. For them, Bhagavan says they will not attain moksha. The ignorant who has no shraddha and who has a doubting mind, they perish. And this is what Bhagavan says in the first line. Now Bhagavan in the second line is saying, what is the worst among these 3 doshas? Among 3 doshas, which is the most, which can lead you to downfall? According to Bhagavan, according to our Shastras, the doubting mind is the worst dosha. Among ignorance, among ajnana, ashraddha and samshayam. Shankaracharya says, doubting is a sin. Papishtaha hi samshayaha. Doubting is a sin, he says. Papam. We should not doubt anything without verifying the truth. If we have doubts, even if we have doubts, there is, not that we will not have doubts, but the thing is, we should not consider them to be true. To our mind, we should not say, yeah, that's what would have happened. Or we should not share them with others. That person has said this about me. Until we are sure that this is true. So what we do, we usually jump to conclusions. We say, he had done it. He has said it. We convince ourselves and a lot of confirmation bias also happens, depending on whether we like the person or not. So we say that person must have spoken about me. That is the person who is causing problems for me. We trust our own judgment, so much so that we believe in our assumptions. We believe in our judgments without proof. And what happens? Our body and mind, they absorb these beliefs. They take this to be true. The body and the mind is now tuned to it now. So the next time we meet this person, what happens? Our words, our action, they reflect on what we had assumed within ourselves. So this gets reflected in the way we see them, the way we interact with them, the way we look at them. So this creates more misunderstanding, more damage. It creates distance and there is tension. So Bhagavān says, samshayam will ruin a person. It will bring more harm to the person who is doubting. Bhagavān calls a doubting mind to be the biggest dosha among the three. Nayam lokosti na paraha na sukam samshayatmanaha. Samshayatmanaha. Ashishji, I'll finish this and I'll come back to you. Samshayatmanaha, one who has a doubting mind. With regards to Vedanta, if we say, our Shastra is telling the truth. Does Jnana really give moksha? Why can't karma give moksha? Is the Guru saying all these things to make us believe in him? Is he living according to what he should be? All those doubts, whether be it in the spiritual world, be it in the materialistic world, what will this person not get? Bhagavan says, ayam lokaha na asti. Na ayam lokaha asti. Na ayam lokaha asti. Ayam lokaha na asti. Ayam lokaha means this world. There is not. He will not get what he needs to get in this world. Not only that, na paraha na sukam. He will not get what he needs to get in this world. He will not get what he needs to get in the next world also. Remember, the mind travels. If we have a doubting mind, if we throughout our life we have a doubting mind, in the next life it will not turn into a mind with clarity, which is born with trust. If we keep doubting on others, saying that, okay, my experience has taught me to actually doubt everybody, everything at the start, from the start, and you keep saying that to you again and again, the next life the same mind is going to come to us. So next life we may not have that experience. For that matter, even this life, whatever experience, whatever doubting mind we have is probably because of the experience that we have had in the past lives, which we don't know. But if we continue to keep the doubting mind, Bhagavan says you will not get anything in the next world also. Not only that, na sukham, that person will never be happy. A doubting person will not be happy. So here, for one who has a doubting mind, there is neither this world nor the next, na sukham, nor happiness. What it means, Shankaracharya says, he will not be born as human in the next life. In the sense, he will not get a good life in other worlds. Even after the jiva leaves this body. So, okay, in the next life, I'm not getting to be happy. I'm not going to get a good life. Will I be happy in this life? Bhagavan says, even here, you will not be happy. Not only that, he will give problems and issues to people around him also. Therefore, we should not have a doubting mind. It does not mean that one should be careless and one should be fooled by others. One should have trust that is mixed with caution. See, being cautious is not equal to being doubtful. Doubting is a disease, it is a sin, it is danger. If a person doubts everything, what will he not get? Ayam lokaha na asti na paraha. See, why Bhagavan says Samshayatma will not get both this world and the next world and not happiness. Whereas for the other ones, for example, Bhagavan also talked about Ajñaha, the ignorant person. For the ignorant person, Ihaloka Sukham is not there because he is ignorant. So he is not going to get Jivan Mukti. But Paraloka Sukham is probably possible because if he has Shraddha and he does good karmas, he might get Paraloka Sukham. So Ajñaha, at least in Paraloka, there is a possibility. Now for a person's Ashraddha Danaha, this person, because of Ashraddha, the Paraloka Sukham is not possible. So because he doesn't have Shraddha, so he does not do according to what the Shastra says. But for him, he can at least be happy in this loka. But for the samshayatma, the doubting Thomas, he may have this worldly knowledge, but he is not sure. And in everything he has got a doubt. So he cannot have ihaloka sukham, he cannot have paraloka sukham. And for a person who doubts the scriptures, punyam, papam, he does not believe in that and all those things. So neither does he gets this loka sukham, this lokam he will be happy, nor in the next loka. Life requires basic trust. Trust within family, trust within the office. Because we have to give responsibilities to others, delegation is involved. In office, we have to delegate to others. Everybody will have to do their own job. And if we do not have trust, what happens? Every time we will have to do their job also, because we do not trust the other person. So Swamiji used to say, suppose a lady appoints a cook. Now this lady is not sure whether this person will do it properly or not. So she keeps walking behind this person. She says, don't do this, do like that, do like this. And in such a manner that she would be doing the whole cooking herself. So trust is very important in life. It has got a risk factor. But at the same time, it is an inevitable risk factor. And that is required in Vedanta also. Bhagavan says, an ignorant person, a person without Shraddha, a doubting person, they will not get moksha. A ignorant person, he will always get an opportunity to gain that knowledge. He is only ignorant now, not that he doesn't want to come out of that ignorance. So he might get moksha. For a person without Shraddha also, he is not without Shraddha. He can, there could be a circumstance where he can relate to what the teachings say, and he is able to relate to what he experiences in some part, and therefore he could get Shraddha. But for a doubting person, there is no opportunity at all. So Bhagavan calls this worst among all. So whether in Laukika matters or Shastric matters, a doubting mind will take us down, it will ruin us. Swamiji says, in many families, the reasons for split, separation, pain is all because of someone being doubtful of other. Again, having a doubt on a person, not speaking about it, not making sure you let your body and mind believe it is all okay, because you want to be cautious. But when you bring it out as truth, this is what would have happened, this is what has happened, these are the facts, that will lead to sorrow and pain. So Bhagavan says not to have a doubting mind. Now we'll go to Sloka number 41. Before that, Ashish ji, yes.
Yeah, Guruji. Actually the question I have is, we have learned so many times the same thing, that the absence of light is darkness, and so the absence of knowledge is ajnana. And the confusion in my mind here is that the four different types of ajnana is the way I am interpreting it in the whole process from ajnana to jnana. Mm-hmm. So why is sanshaya, number one, why is sanshaya being pulled up as a path? Why is it not being treated as a continuous process of moving from ignorance to knowledge, wherein ignorance has transformed into sanshaya and then transforms into the next two levels? So I'm not still clear about that why is it the worst?
We saw that, right, in the last sloka. We saw that. See, I agree that. No, in this sloka itself we saw. See what happened. We saw that 5 steps. First is ajnana, and then there is samshaya. This is a necessary step for us to convert our ignorance into knowledge. There is no doubt about it. The first time when you hear it, there is you do it because you are ignorant. Then before you take this into as my knowledge, you have a doubt and those doubts have to be clarified. Now here Bhagavān talks about samshayatma as a person who says, I will not trust it. It's not that it's even worse than ashraddha. As in, I take to what I think is true. My doubt is such that I am not willing to get clarified. If you have samshayatma, you will have to go clarify it. This person does not clarify that doubt. So normally, you are right, from ajnana to jnana, in between there is a step of samshaya. But then what happens when you have doubt? You will have to take steps to get that clarified, whether it is in this in laukika or shastric matters. But if a person has a doubt and does not take steps to get that doubt clarified, rather wants to take the doubt to be the truth, or does not want to believe what has been said, or believe what the other person has done, then you stay there. You not only stay there, you vinashyati. Na paramasti, na paraha, na sukam, na ayam lokah. That is
So can I interpret it as maybe staying in the state of ashraddha does not create pap, but coming into the state of sanshaya and then not trying to clear your doubts to move to the third is where the issue is.
Yes.
What we are then understanding is, if you are in the state of sanshaya, you have to complement it with the desire to remove the doubt.
Correct.
That balance has to be there. That complementary activity has to be there.
Yes. See, sometimes ignorance can be bliss, but if you have a doubtful knowledge, that is worse. That could create more problems than being ignorant about things. Suppose if I say, I don't know to drive a car, so I don't get into the driver's seat at all, that's fine. But I think I know the car, but I am doubtful about it, and you sit in the car and want to drive the car, that will lead to accidents. So doubting knowledge is even worse than ignorance.
I get that. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. We'll go to sloka number 41. yoga-saṁsiddhaḥ yogam-saṁsiddhaḥ Jnāna-saṁ-chiṇna-saṁśayam ātmavantam na karmāni nibadnanti dhananjaya yoga-saṁsiddhaḥ Jnāna-saṁ-chiṇna-saṁśayam ātmavantam na karmāni nibadnanti dhananjaya. So here the benefit of a person who has attained Jnana Nishtha is being talked about in this sloka. What it says is basically, for a person who has attained Jnana Nishtha, there will be no karma that will bind that person or bound that person. So Bhagavān is now concluding this chapter. This section on Jnana Karma Sannyasa is actually concluding here. In fact, in the next sloka, Bhagavān is advising Arjuna and concluding this chapter. So these two slokas, 41 and 42, we can say as Upasamhara, concluding slokas. So here Bhagavān is giving 3 adjectives for a Jnana Nishtha. Beautiful adjectives, saying that for a Jnana Nishtha, no actions will bind him. What sort of a Jnana Nishtha? Bhagavān says, yoga-saṁsiddhaḥ. Yoga means here Atma Darshanam. Yoga means Paramatma Darshanam, the knowledge. The knowledge is being referred to yoga here. The Jnana. Brahma Jnana is being referred to as yoga. So yoga-saṁsiddhaḥ karmanam. Sannyasa karmanam means one who has renounced all actions through this knowledge. Which knowledge? Brahma Jnana. This Brahma knowledge He has renounced all his actions. When you say renounced actions, means he has not that given up actions. He has renounced the doership through this knowledge. Yoga sannyasta karmanam Jnāna samchinna samshayam. So Jnana here means, what Jnana we have to have? We need to have this Jiva Ishvara Jnana. Who is the Jiva? Who is the Ishvara? We should have clear knowledge on that. And this Jnana, he has destroyed all his doubts through this knowledge. Samchinna. Samshayam. Samshayam means doubts. Samchinna means basically destroyed, cleared, removed. All these doubts have been cleared by knowledge. Then Atmavantam. Atmavantam means one who stays on self. He is steadfast on Atma. In other words, he is not enamored by this Maya. He has been freed from this Nama Rupa. Nama Rupa Vimuktaha. So that person is Atmavantam. He is now only steadfast on Brahman. Yoga Sannyasta Karmanam. Basically, it refers to the Shravana stage. Shravanam. Because he has renounced all his doership through knowledge. That is the case of Shravanam. Then Jnana samchinna samshayam. That is nothing but he has clarified all the doubts. So Mananam. So that is the Manana stage. Then Atmavantam. He is steadfast on Atma, which is nothing but Nididhyasanam stage. So he has got an alert life. All his actions are with the complete knowledge that he is Atma. The self is Atma. So he has this knowledge as a background by performing any transactions in the world. Not that he is not going to be idle or he is going to run away. He will be able to perform all his actions, transactions with a clear understanding that he is Brahman. So these are the characteristics of a Jnana Nishtha. For him, karmani na nibadnanti. Actions do not bind him. Punya papa do not bind him. He does not get affected by joy and sorrow. He has attained moksha. That is what is said here. This is the benefit of this Jnana. Now Bhagavān is going to advise Arjuna in the next sloka, which we will see in the next class, and then we will also do a summary of this chapter in the next class. Any questions or comments? Okay. If not, we will see again in the next class. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.